What's going on, guys? This is Kaisha. Welcome back. So we're back with another video. So in this video, we're going to cover top 5 tech cards to play in October 2024 OCG format, and this will be post WPP 2024. So we are going to discuss the best and most unconventional cards to surprise the meta at the moment. So before we venture in our top 5, we are going to assimilate what are the meaning of tech cards in my own dictionary. So cards that see seldom play on the side deck and sometimes main deck of most people, and also despite being unpopular, these cards can have so much value against the meta decks on the format, and also often labeled as spice, quote unquote spice, or cards that may surprise the current metagame. So these cards are not played enough and doesn't see much play on side deck and main deck, but can definitely bring out the best against the best decks, and also they can be the elements of surprise to catch them off guard. So moving on to towards our top 5, we do have Snatch Steel as our top 5 on this list. So fresh from the ban list, it was recently lifted from the ban section, and this card are seeing play on some side deck and even main deck of going second decks like Tenpai Dragon, Cyber Dragon, and Ancient Gear. So we're going to see why. And the description of this is Snatch Steel can out problematic boss monsters. So you name them all. Apollousa, Thunder Dragon Colossus, Poi, Phantom of Yubel. So you can out those problematic boss monsters with just single Snatch Steel. But also this card can be very unexpected. So most people will not expect Snatch Steel from resolving against them because it is definitely unpopular, and there are better side deck and board breaker options like Ultimate Slayer, Forbidden Droplet, Dark Ruler No More. So Snatch Steel is definitely at the bottom of the pecking order when you're going to select the best going second card, and also can help you pressure some of the meta decks. So if you can out the Appaloosa, for example, no, or other decks that doesn't have Omni Negate, built-in Omni Negate to protect their boss monsters, they can definitely struggle with just single Snatch Steal, and it can literally steal their monsters, and you can pressure their boards and also maneuver it towards your advantage. So moving on towards the deck that can be toppled by Snatch Steal, we do have Ryel and Ubel. So this deck doesn't have Omni Negate threats on their side of the field, so they are going to struggle very bad against Snatch Steel, especially Ubel, even though Ubel was not top deck right now because it was recently battered by the ban list. It is still a very notable deck, and many people are still clinging on playing Ubel. Moving on towards our top 4 on our list, we do have Denko Seka, a very old card and very unpopular. And this card is very shaky and it doesn't see much play, to be honest. But now I believe this is the perfect format to play Denko Seka. So moving on our top 4, we do have Denko Seka. It is a very witty card against the side decking pattern. So most people will side 5 to 6, even 7 going first cards. And those cards can be back row and can be set on their turn, and cards like Solemn Judgment, Dimensional Barrier, Solemn Strike, and floodgates like Anti-Spell Fragrance and Summon Limit, those can be really irritating to play against, especially if they have built their board already and they can pressure you with those humongous interactions, and also paired with back row potential and threats. It is very hard to play against them. So Denko Seka can help you navigate those problems. And also, it is very hard to play around. Imagine that Denko Seka, normal summon, and they cannot respond anything on their back row once you can successfully normal summon the Denko Seka. The downside would be you would commit your normal summon, but decks like Ryzel doesn't have any troubles on consuming their normal summon to play Denko Seka because they have multitudes of cards that can be special summoned from their hand. And also, Denko Seka can aid your back row problems if your deck tends to struggle around the back row, if you're going to have troubles around Infinite Impermanence and Solemn Strike, Dimensional Barrier. All of those cards can be really threatening on your gameplay. So Denko Seka can help you is that problem. So moving on towards the meta decks that can be toppled by Denko Seka, we do have Ryzel. Especially Ryzel plays a bunch of going first cards on game 2 to 3. You're going to expect a lot of Solems and also Iron Thunder, for example, and Dimensional Barrier. And also Rescue Ace with the set 4 pass of Turbulence, no? They're going to set their Contain, their trap cards, their quick plays, so Denko Seka can single-handedly win you the match against Rescue Ace. And also control decks like Runic and Labyrinth. It is mandatory to navigate their back row because they play high impact trap cards and floodgates. And moving on towards the top three on our list, we do have Sales Ban. This is probably my favorite card on this top five list, and we are going to see why. So Sales Ban. This card was a release from Batch, if I'm not mistaken, Battle of Chaos, and it was heavily underrated. But this is the perfect format to play the Sales Ban because it can be clutch against the prevalent hand traps and staples. So Nibiru, Droll, for example, those can be really hard to play around, and most decks will struggle around Droll and Nibiru. So you could declare them with Sales Ban and eradicate them from existence, and also can force out interactions. If your opponent plays a barrage of interruptions and also a plethora of playthrough against your board, they're definitely going to consume their effects once you play the sales ban because it is very threatening and it can out anything visible in this meta, especially if you can declare successfully and cancel out those interactions. You are going to have a very good chance to break their board and also play more effectively. And also, it is very hard to counter if they're not playing Solemn Judgment, for example, Anti-Spell Fragrance. They are definitely going to struggle around Sales Ban because it doesn't have that much answers right now, except for the decks like Voices Voice, for example, with Omni Negate option. So, other than that, not many decks that, can answer the Sales Ban right now. Moving on towards the meta decks that can be toppled by Salesman, we do have Tenpai Dragon and Malice. So these decks plays a lot of cards like Gamma, for example, Delta, and Retaliating Sea. Those can be really impactful against some of the decks, and you're going to cancel them out using the sales ban, and also their interactions can be limited once you successfully resolve the sales ban and also declare the most appropriate card to answer the meta decks. And moving on towards the top two on our list, we do have Book of Eclipse. So this is probably the best book to play right now, and it is regardless to say because it can single-handedly win you matches against the best deck, which is Ryel. We're not going to deny that Ryel is the best deck at the moment, and Book of Eclipse can single-handedly win you matches around Ryel because they don't end on Omni Negates, and most of their cards are XYZ, and they cannot do anything once their monsters are flipped face down, so it can rattle the Ryzel board, and very effective as well when you use it on a condensed environment. If you know the environment or your local metagame that doesn't really play too much Omni Negates and counters around the board breaker like Book of Eclipse, you're going to capitalize on that and very much rewarded from those interactions against the meta decks out there, and also very unprecedented board breaking and board clearing card. So not many people will expect this because they are going to expect Droplet, for example, and things like Ultimate Slayer and the likes of Dark Ruler No More and Evil Match, no? So Book of Eclipse can be that huge asset to surprise them out of the blue. And of course, the meta decks that can be toppled by BOE would be Ryzil, of course. The most notable deck to be countered by Book of Eclipse right now would be none other than Ryzil. Moving on towards the top one on our list would be Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill. So this hand trap was severely played on the previous 3 4 days in this week, and people have good reasons to play this card, and we're going to discuss why. So this would probably your third Imperm and Veiler on your deck, no? So if you're already running Imperm and Veiler and you don't really feel like playing the Purulia and Foalos, no? You could definitely slot in the Mourner and Mulichil to access as your third Impermanent Veiler because it functions the same way, even though it is not really the perfect emulation of Imperm and Veiler. It works similar to that mechanism and also can be clutch against the best decks available like Ryzil, Malice, for example, Tenpai Dragon, Snake Eyes. You could use this against the Snake Eyes Ash and Chundra, for example, and other stuff like the Duo Drive, no? So those can be really threatening around the meta right now and also can be capitalized on game ending procedures. So you already know it. The time procedures of Yu-Gi-Oh is very tough and it is a game of inches because you could win on time with a burn because this card burns for LP once you can resolve it. So your opponent could lose potentially on that burn alone. So this could be really clutch around those game ending procedures. And moving on towards the decks that can be toppled by Ghost Mourner, it is Ryel, of course, the Duo Drive, would need to resolve to play their setup with the fill spell and also the plug-in and also their trap card. So they could literally lose around one single Ghost Mourner and also Snake Eyes. They have limited options right now. We do have only one Poplar, one Ash, and one Witch. So any of those can be really hard to play and navigate once you can Mourner their starters. And also Tenpai Dragon, they only have one Chundra and the Jinroku could also suffer from the likes of Mourner. So they could potentially lose when you can hit them with Mourner. So yeah, that sums up our top 5 tech cards to play in October 2024 post WPP 2024 format in this OCG metagame. So if you found this video informative and helpful, please consider subscribing into my YouTube channel. It definitely motivates me a lot to keep going and provide this content for you guys. So once again, thank you for watching. See you on the next one. Peace.